Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I have to make sure I get my hair right before the video starts, homie. You know, bam. All right, man. So I appreciate you guys very much for coming by. So I do have a chess.com match that was played against Sagar, Praveen, and Wesley So. And you know what? I was going through Wesley So's like kind of history, trying to figure out what game I wanted to show. And I actually came across this game, and it was very interesting to me because I've actually played Sagar Praveen a lot of times. We played like 15 games. He's about a 2750, chess.com player. I won once. So, yes. He's a tough player, man, to be completely honest, man. So he kind of gets me a little bit more than he should. I should never lose, bro. But yeah, I was like, man, I got to show this game then, man. Like, you know, this is like kind of some familiarity. Kind of, I'm like one link away from Wesley So a little bit. But all my people that are coming from the Philippines, Maraming salamat. Anybody who is coming from Bangalore, which is where Sagar is from, I will say namaskara and Dhanyavada. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. But if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, son. So we got the move E4. We got C6, so we're starting off with the Caro-Kann defense. And then we have somewhat of a Maraxi bind situation. I mean, you know, white is definitely with E4 and C4 trying to prevent the move D5. But the problem is, you know, black is usually able to get that move in kind of no matter what, especially this early in the game. If they play E6 or C6, I mean, D5 is literally about to come no matter what. So we do see that D5, pawn takes D5. We got pawn taking D5 and then pawn taking D5. And then we have the move knight to F6. So we kind of have a Scandinavian type idea by Wesley So. You're just basically saying, I mean, I can take with the queen, but, you know, queen takes D5 is going to be subject to knight to C3, and I'm going to have to move my queen. So let me go ahead and just go knight to F6. And basically, white's pawn that far extended without any helper, pawns on its side is pretty much a sitting duck. We do see knight to C3, logical move. We got G6, we got bishop to C4, we got bishop to G7, then we have knight to F3. And we kind of have like some hints of kind of like a Grunfeld type situation. This position should look familiar to people who play the Grunfeld as white, even though you have not played D4. We do see knight B to D7. We do see the move D3. We got knight to B6, we got queen to B3, and then we have castles by black. And the crazy thing about the position as it stands right now is the window of opportunity for Wesley So to legitimately grab this pawn has kind of passed. So it's going to take, some specific play from Praveen to basically give this pawn away because it is actually very heavily protected at this point. You have so many pieces that are protecting this pawn. But it can be kind of hard to protect, like I said, because there are no pawns on either side of it to really help support it. So you have to do that with pieces. And that's not the best possible situation for your pieces. We do see castles by white. We got bishop to G4, but we're like, hey, man, knight to E5, bro. Like, you're not pinning nothing down, son. You know, the queen is not on D1, so bishop to G4 is not pinning anything down, so we are free to move. So we do see knight to E5, which at the moment is actually holding the bishop quite nicely. And it's a nice centralized square for the knight to be on, and it is hitting the bishop. So we're asking black, do you want to lose your bishop or not? So we do see the bishop going back to F5. We do see bishop to E3. We got rook to C8, all very natural standard type stuff. I mean, this rook is getting on this completely open file. We got the bishop out. So, I mean, both players have pretty much gotten, successfully out of the opening like they need to. And then we do see the move H3. And this is the novelty of the game. For those of you that do play against the Benoni as white, this idea will actually look familiar to you because, H3 and then G4 can possibly come in certain situations. But we do see knight going back to E8, and then we do see knight going back to F3. What black is wanting to do is it's wanting to redirect this knight, which we do see in the game, to D6, and you're just putting way too much pressure on this bishop on C4 because you see that it really can't go anywhere. One of the ideas instead of actually going back to F3 was to immediately interpose the move bishop takes B6. And then after we see pawn taking B6, rook F going to E1. And this is definitely an option here just to, kind of cause black a little bit of damage and to basically hold our knight on this really, really beautiful square. Going back knight to F3 definitely was a move, but it's just somewhat passive. So you don't really too much want to retreat your pieces once you've already put them on good squares. So like I said, we do see knight to f3. The knight does come to d6 like the idea I was telling you guys before. We do see a4. I mean, there really isn't much you can do about the situation, you know, because this bishop, like I said, really can't go anywhere. You try to go to b5 and a6 is going to come and you're just pretty much back where you started. So we do see knight b taking c4. We do see pawn taking c4. And then we have the really nice move, very accurate, bishop to d3. So you already have way more than enough attackers on this pawn. White cannot, you know, defend this pawn at all. But why not get another piece into the action and also attack this rook at the very same time? And that is so why we see bishop to d3. And it is a very, very nice extra move to throw in there. We do see rook going to e1. We do see bishop taking c4. And this is inconveniencing the queen just a little bit, but not that much. And we do actually see the move queen to c2. And I have to believe, I haven't talked to Sagar, but I have to believe that this was a mouse slip. The problem with this move, and I really, like I said, I really don't see him making this move because it is a self-pinning move. And what I mean by saying that is, what we immediately see next is bishop to d5, and the problem now is you have just put yourself into a pin. So I really find it hard to believe that in this position, the absolute best move is going back queen to d1. That is absolutely what you do. It's multi-purposeful. It's protecting this pawn, you know, because this bishop might possibly take and stuff. And it's just getting yourself out of that pin. So I find it really hard to believe that he would actually make this move. And I honestly believe this was a mouse slip. This is a chess.com game. So like I said, I think that he mouse slipped this on accident. He was meaning to go to d1. So giving him the benefit of that, you know, it does kind of put you, like I said, in the pickle because bishop takes d5. And, you know, you are just pinning your queen. So now you're going to have to get your queen out of this pin. We do see knight to d4. We do see knight to c4. And then we're able to finally slide our queen out of the situation. We do see knight taking e3. And then the best move in the position is queen taking e3. And we have actually reached a position. There's a cute move that Wesley So plays. That the situation, I mean, like I said, from that mouse slip probably created. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video and try to guess what move Wesley So finds here, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So, I mean, of course, the computer says there's like 1,000 other moves that you can make in this position. Like, you don't have to make this move, but it's pretty straightforward. It's one of those situations where if you're looking at the position from the black side, you're noticing that it's like, hey, man, my bishop is hitting, you know, this knight. And actually, my queen is kind of hitting this knight through the bishop. Is there anything I can do with this bishop that makes a lot of sense where, you know, I can try to exploit the fact that both of these pieces are attacking this piece? Well, if you guess the move bishop takes g2, no, my pawn. What my pawn do to you, man? Anyways, yes, this is what you would be coming across. Like I said, I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 other legitimate moves that are roughly equal in this position. But, I mean, it's a nice little tactical, you know, idea type situation. Like, you're messing up the pawns in front of, the, you know, the opponent's king. You know, you're forcing the king to come a little bit more out into the open. You are grabbing this knight. So everything is everything. We do see king taking g2. We got bishop taking d4. Of course, no other moves. And then instead of moving somewhere passive, we do see queen taking e7. And we got bishop taking c3, pawn taking c3. And like I said, I mean, you have many options here as well if you're black. I mean, you could just take here. You could just move the queen away, and then you're threatening rook over here. So there are many, many options. But what Wesley So decides to do is say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, place a check right here. Queen to d5 with check. We do see queen coming down to e4 blocking. The queen takes on e4, the rook takes on e4, and you are in a rook endgame where you are up a pawn, which doesn't absolutely guarantee that you win the position. But one of the things that you have to make sure if you are black that you do not allow is white to gain activity. Because even being down a pawn, you know, if white can muster up enough activity, like getting their rooks on the 7th rank, you know, tying black down, stuff like that, you know, you can actually justify being down the pawn. We do see rook f to e8. Like I said, just, you know, making sure that we are defending against, you know, what white is trying to do as far as making themselves active. We do see rook taking e8 with check, rook taking e8. And then actually a really nice move in this position because if you think about it, one of the major ideas that black would really love to try to do is to get a rook down either on the 7th rank or the 6th rank, because one thing you should notice about white's position is they do have a lot of weak pawns that is really, really hard because none of them have like neighbor pawns. There are no connected pawns anywhere. So you're going to either have to protect these pawns with pieces or the king. So this is a very, very tied down in game for white to have to try to play. So definitely one of the things black would like to do is bring a rook down here or bring a rook down here if you decide to move this pawn. And white basically just says, hey, man, I'm going to try to fight against that as much as I possibly can. So we see king to f3. We got rook down to e6. We got rook to b1. Of course, you're trying to tickle everything that black has in their position. One of the only things you can really do against black is try to attack this b pawn. But, you know, we see the move b6. We're like, hey, man, we're good to go. And like I said, everything is a little bit tougher for white to play. It's not that it's absolutely lost, but it is a very, very hard end game to defend if you are on the white side of this, because you are very, very tied down. We do see rook up to b5. We got rook to c6. And so you kind of see everything starting to get highlighted on the white side. You know, you have this pawn right here that possibly can drop if you don't defend it or play very, very actively. The computer's like, hey, man, just go a5. Like, I don't think any human is going to go a5. If a human was going to go a5, he would go it in this game, but he doesn't. So it just really just looks like it throws this away with check, and then you're going to be having to move and try to protect this pawn. So like I said, I don't really feel like a human is going to make this move, and we don't see that. We just see the very natural rook goes back to b3. We got the rook down to c4, but you see that black is managing to basically just pick at what white has in their position, because they have way more weaknesses in their position than black does. So every single move that Wesley So is able to make is picking at some kind of weakness that is really, really hard for Praveen to protect. We do see the move a5. We got pawn taking a5, and then we have a very curious, and this has to be a mouse slip too, because like there's no way that he makes this move just willingly, because it makes absolutely no sense in the world. Rook to b4, and you see the you see the bar slide down. It's basically saying negative 34. It's plus 34 for black here. This had to have been. I feel like this had to have been rook to b5. Like you're thinking, hey man, if you take my stuff, like I mean, I'm gonna move down and protect my pawn, or maybe even rook to b7, and maybe it just dropped way too soon. But you know, there's no way in the world that he's gonna make this move. Like I'll just be like, yeah, man, because there's not even no sacrificial, like, you know, drawing sense behind this actual move. So I feel like the frustration for Praveen is really high in this game because he mouse slips queen to c2 earlier, has to be, and then he mouse slips here, and he's probably just like, man, whatever, dog. You guys have played online before, so you're sitting there like, why did I just drop my queen? Like, you've seen it all over the place, and I do it all the time myself, and I'm like, resigns, whatever, bro. But to finalize the game, we do see rook taking. So Wesley So doesn't even capture the rook immediately. He chooses the like most accurate Zwischenzug move and just goes rook takes c3 with check, because you could throw a check in, and it is in this position that Praveen resigns the game. Like I said, I played a lot of times with this guy, and he pretty much gets me every single time. I was able to manage a win, so I'm happy about that win. I don't play 2700s and 2800s very often. So, I mean, to get a win against, you know, that level of player, you know, which I'm about close to 2400 at my best ever. So, I mean, you know, it's nice to be able to get those wins. So, yeah, but I mean, that's Wesley So, bro. Like I said in the last video, you know, Wesley So is he's a whole different animal, man, for real. So, yeah, that is that game, man. So it's not too long of a game, but anybody, like I said, coming from the Philippines, kamusta na aking magkaibigan? Let me see. It's early morning, so magandang umaga. Almusal tayo. Coconut shake. You know who you are. Yeah, man. Anybody who's coming from India, I'll say namaste, namaskar. I appreciate you guys very much. Vanakkam. Anybody coming from anywhere in India, Dhanyavad, Dhanyavada, Dhanyavada Lu, Nandri, Nandi. You know, wherever you come from, I do pretty much kind of can speak most of the Indian languages. I gotta make it there one day too. So I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by, and I'm going to see you guys next time.